The galaxy was vast, filled with stars that shined like diamonds in the cold, empty sky. For Alex, an earthling with a curious heart, this coldness felt like an echo in his soul. He had always dreamed of the unknown, of exploring places beyond the scope of his small world. But what had happened to him over the past few days was beyond anything he could ever have imagined. It started with an unexpected message. A shimmering hologram appeared before him. One quiet evening, right in his living room, he froze, unsure of what to make of it. A voice, deep, otherworldly, and full of authority, spoke to him. "Alex of Earth, you are chosen. A path is awaiting you, one that will change your life. Come to the star system of Zurith. The royal court of Queen Thalira calls for you." The message had come from an alien civilization, one known as the Zelfar, and it was addressed specifically to Alex. It made no sense. Why him? He had no connections to any royal family, no special talents that could make him stand out. But the more he thought about it, the more he felt drawn to the mysterious call. Curiosity won out over caution, and within days he found himself aboard a spacecraft bound for Zurith. The journey through space was long, but the vastness of it filled Alex with awe. He gazed out the window, watching as the stars streaked past like fireflies in the night. His mind wandered. What was he walking into? Why had they chosen him? He had so many questions, but no answers. When the ship finally approached the planet, Alex's heart raced. The Zelthar's homeworld was unlike anything he had seen before. Darith was a place of shimmering cities that floated in the air, held up by invisible forces. The architecture was beautiful, with towers made of iridescent stone, glowing in the pale light of two suns. It was like stepping into a dream. But as Alex descended into the heart of the city, the beauty was marred by something strange. The streets were lined with powerful beings from countless alien races, each one giving him a look that was a mixture of curiosity, suspicion, and something deeper, perhaps fear. Alex's arrival was no quiet affair. The city had been abuzz with preparations for the royal ceremony. He was escorted by guards into the grand hall, where the alien queen Thalira and her court awaited him. The hall was enormous, larger than any building Alex had ever seen. It was filled with people, no, beings, from across the galaxy, all gathered to witness something that Alex could not yet understand. Queen Thalira sat on a grand throne at the far end of the hall, her presence commanding the attention of everyone around her. She was tall, her skin a deep, shimmering shade of violet, her eyes glowing with a soft light. Her beauty was unlike anything Alex had ever encountered. Beside her stood her child, a young prince, not yet fully grown but already radiating a quiet power. His name was Zar-El. Zar-El was different. He was not like the other beings in the hall. His skin was pale silver, and his eyes, bright, almost too bright, seemed to look through Alex as though he could see the very core of his being. But what struck Alex the most was the way the boy moved. There was an ease to it, a natural confidence that only those of royal blood seemed to possess. Zar-El stood beside his mother, silent and still, as though waiting for something or someone. As Alex was led forward, the eyes of every being in the room followed him. There were murmurs and whispers, but no one said a word aloud. The weight of their gaze pressed on him, making him feel like an outsider, a stranger in a world that was not his own. He tried to focus on the queen, to remind himself why he was here. But the moment he locked eyes with Zar-El, everything else in the room disappeared. Zar-El's eyes, those bright, almost hypnotic eyes, seemed to pierce into Alex's soul. There was a moment of silence, and then the impossible happened. The young prince stepped forward, moving with purpose, and as he did, the entire hall froze. No one spoke. No one moved. Alex's heart pounded in his chest. What was happening? Zar-El did not hesitate. He reached out a hand, and in that moment, Alex could feel the power of the prince's will, a force that was gentle but unyielding. The prince's eyes never left his, as though they shared a secret only they could understand. The alien dignitaries stood in shock. Even Queen Thalira seemed taken aback, though she did not show it openly. "I choose him." Zar-El's voice rang out in Alex's mind, clear and unambiguous. The words were not spoken aloud, yet Alex heard them as though they were his own thoughts. It was telepathy. The prince had chosen him. And the moment the words reached his mind, the entire room came alive with chaos. The dignitaries began to murmur among themselves, and the guards exchanged uncertain glances. The ripple of shock spread across the hall like a wave. Alex stood frozen, unsure of what was happening. The prince had chosen him, not because of any merit Alex thought he had, but for reasons he could not understand. He looked back at Zar-El, feeling a mixture of awe and confusion. "Why me?" Alex thought, but no sooner had he done so than Zar-El answered. "You are the one who will help guide us." Zar-El's voice echoed in Alex's mind, calm and certain. "You are the key to what comes next." The weight of the words settled heavily on Alex's shoulders. The hall had once again fallen silent, the weight of this moment hanging in the air. For a second, he wondered if he had made a mistake. But something inside him stirred, a sense of destiny that he couldn't ignore. He had been chosen by an alien prince for reasons he still didn't understand. But in that instant, he knew his life would never be the same again. Before Alex could speak, the Queen's voice broke the silence, smooth and authoritative. "This is no small matter," she said, her gaze shifting to him. "Zar-El's choice is binding, and the path you walk will shape the future of the Zelfar. You are now part of our world. Prepare yourself." Alex could only nod, though he felt the weight of her words sink deep within him. The room seemed to hold its breath as the alien queen's child, the one who would one day rule this world, had chosen him, a simple human from Earth. The ripple of astonishment still lingered in the air, but it was clear now. Whatever came next, Alex was no longer a mere observer. He was part of a story much larger than he could ever have imagined. Alex could barely comprehend what had just happened. The feeling of being chosen by Zar-El, the alien prince, overwhelmed him. He had been thrust into a world he didn't understand, surrounded by creatures from distant planets who regarded him with curiosity and wariness. It was clear that whatever role he had in the grand scheme of things, it was far bigger than anything he could have imagined. After the shocking moment in the grand hall, Alex was escorted to a private chamber. It was spacious, with smooth, metallic walls that reflected the soft glow of nearby stars. The windows looked out onto the alien city below, where floating towers and cities shimmered in the distance. The entire planet of Zareth seemed to glow under the light of its two suns. The room was quiet, save for the soft hum of the building systems. Alex felt an odd sense of peace in the silence, but it didn't last long. A soft knock at the door broke the stillness, and before Alex could even move, the door slid open on its own. Zar-El entered the room, his presence commanding the space as though he had always belonged there. His bright silver skin reflected the light in an almost ethereal way, and his eyes, glowing with a soft, radiant light, locked onto Alex with the intensity of someone who knew their purpose. "Are you all right?" Zar-El's voice echoed inside Alex's mind before the words were even spoken aloud. The telepathic connection was as natural as breathing, and Alex had to remind himself that this wasn't a dream. "I think I'm more confused than anything," Alex replied mentally, his voice hesitant. Zar-El smiled, the expression almost childlike, despite the power he exuded. It's natural to feel that way. "Everything is changing, Alex. Not just for you, but for us too." Zar-El paused, his eyes narrowing as though searching for something hidden within Alex's thoughts. "You'll understand soon enough." But first, you need to learn who we are, what we stand for. Alex nodded slowly. The prince seemed to be speaking with such certainty, but Alex didn't know where to begin. He was a human in a foreign galaxy, surrounded by beings that were as alien to him as the stars themselves. How could he possibly fit into this world, let alone help them? What exactly do you want me to do? Alex asked, his voice filled with both curiosity and trepidation. I want you to understand the importance of your presence here, Zarel responded. There is a prophecy, one that foretells the arrival of a human who will help guide my people through the trials we face. You are the one chosen to fulfill that prophecy. Alex's heart skipped a beat. A prophecy? He asked, trying to make sense of the words.
You're saying that I'm part of some ancient plan? Zarel nodded. Yes.
The prophecy speaks of a human who will help us overcome the challenges that threaten our survival. It has been passed down for generations, and now, you are the one to lead us through it. Alex felt a wave of disbelief wash over him. How could he, a simple earthling, be part of something so grand? But I don't know anything about your people or your world, he protested. How can I possibly be the one to help you? Zarel's gaze softened, and he stepped closer to Alex. You will learn, just as I will learn from you. Our connection is not random. There is something within you, something deep inside, that will help us understand what we've been searching for. But before we can move forward, we must first understand the history of my people.
Alex listened intently, trying to process the weight of Zare's words. The prince's calm demeanor was both comforting and unsettling.
Zarel spoke of the Zelfar as though they were a noble and ancient civilization, one whose survival was linked to this very prophecy. Zarel continued, We are not like other species. Our power lies not in our physical strength, but in our minds. We are a telepathic race, capable of connecting with others in ways that most cannot understand. But that power comes at a cost. Over time, we have grown isolated, cut off from the universe around us. We have lost touch with the very thing that makes us strong, our ability to connect with others, to find our place in the galaxy.
Alex frowned, trying to understand. So, you're saying your people have lost their way? Zarel nodded.
Yes. We've become a dying civilization, our power waning with each passing generation.
The prophecy speaks of a human who will restore our connection, help us find the strength we've lost. You are the one who will show us how.
The weight of Zarel's words hit Alex like a ton of bricks. He was just a regular person. How could he be the key to saving an entire alien race?
It didn't make sense. But something about Zarel's confidence made Alex hesitate to argue further. There was a conviction in the prince's eyes that Alex couldn't deny.
I don't know what I can do to help, Alex admitted, his voice small. I'm just me.
Zarel smiled again, a quiet understanding in his gaze. That's all we need. You don't have to be anyone else. Just be yourself, Alex. Trust me, and trust what you will learn. Suddenly, the door opened again, and a woman entered the room. She was tall, regal, with sharp features that commanded attention. Her skin was a rich shade of violet, and her eyes glowed with a soft yet intense light. This was Queen Thalira, Zaral's mother, and the ruler of the Zelfar. Zaral, she said, her voice carrying a weight that immediately demanded respect.
You have chosen him.
Zaral turned to his mother, a quiet nod of acknowledgement passing between them. Yes, mother.
Alex will
help us. Queen Thalira studied Alex for a moment, her gaze as piercing as her son's. I trust you will not disappoint us, she said, her tone calm but firm. Alex swallowed, unsure of how to respond.
I won't.
I promise. The queen's expression softened, and she stepped forward.
You are the first human to ever be brought to our world. You have a great responsibility ahead of you.
But remember this. My people will not accept you easily. They will challenge you, question you, and try to undermine you.
You must be strong, Alex, for the future of both our people. Alex nodded, a sense of determination rising in his chest.
He had no idea what lay ahead, but he knew one thing. He wasn't going to back down. Not now. Not when the fate of an entire civilization rested on his shoulders. I understand, he said quietly. I'll do whatever it takes. Queen Thalira seemed satisfied with his answer, though her expression remained serious. Good. Now you must prepare.
We begin tomorrow. There is much to learn, and time is not on our side.
As she left the room, Zarel turned to Alex, his expression unreadable. Are you ready? Alex took a deep breath, glancing out the window at the glowing city below. There was no turning back now. I guess I don't have a choice, he said, trying to smile, though his nerves were still raw. Zarel smiled in return, a small, knowing grin. No, you don't. But you'll learn quickly, Alex. And when you do, you'll understand why you were chosen. The prince stepped back, his figure fading into the shadows as the room grew dimmer. Alex remained standing by the window, gazing out at the unknown world before him. A new chapter of his life had begun, one that was far beyond his control. But if there was one thing Alex had learned in his short time on Zareth, it was that he couldn't back out. The fate of two worlds now rested in his hands. The days following Alex's encounter with Queen Thalira and Zarel blurred together in a whirlwind of strange customs, alien languages, and an overwhelming sense of being out of place. He was no longer just a visitor on Zarif. He was a key player in a game he barely understood, one that involved the fate of an entire species. The pressure weighed heavily on his shoulders, but he couldn't ignore the quiet voice inside that told him to keep going. There was something here, something bigger than him, and he had to figure it out. Zarel, despite his age, seemed to understand more than Alex had initially realized. The prince was constantly by his side, guiding him through the labyrinthine world of Zelthar politics, culture, and history. The telepathic connection between them was growing stronger with each passing day. As though Alex's mind was learning to trust Zarel's presence within it. It wasn't always comfortable. There were moments when Alex felt overwhelmed, like an outsider in his own thoughts. But Zarel's calm, reassuring presence helped him stay grounded. You must understand, Zarel said one day as they stood in the royal gardens, surrounded by vibrant flowers that glowed under the twin suns, that our people are not just in danger. We are losing something much more vital. Our unity. Alex looked out over the vast expanse of the garden, trying to take it all in. He had never seen anything so beautiful, so alien. The colors were unlike anything he had seen on Earth, and the air was thick with the scent of blossoms that seemed to hum with energy. But despite the beauty around him, he could sense an undercurrent of unease in Zarel's voice. What do you mean by losing our unity? Alex asked, genuinely puzzled. You're the prince.
You've got power. Surely you can fix this.
Zarel's expression became more serious. It's not that simple. Our strength has always been in our connection to one another, our ability to communicate without words, to understand each other on a level deeper than anything other species can comprehend. But over time, we've grown disconnected. Our power has weakened, and the once great alliance of our people is now fractured. We're no longer a united force. My mother has tried to hold it all together, but the divisions run deep. The prophecy speaks of you because you can restore that connection, Alex. You can help us see what we've lost.
Alex frowned. I don't see how I can help with that.
I'm just a guy from Earth. You are not just anything, Zarel said with quiet conviction.
You are the one who will bridge the gap between us, the one who will show us how to trust again.
But first, you must understand what has brought us to this point. Zarael led him deeper into the garden, past rows of glowing plants that seemed to pulse with light. As they walked, Zarael spoke of the history of his people, of their once glorious civilization that spanned across the stars. The Zelthar had been pioneers, explorers, and diplomats, respected by many and feared by others. But over time, something had changed. The ancient bonds between the various factions of their society had begun to fray. Their telepathic abilities, once a source of pride, had started to feel more like a curse. Each individual's thoughts were so deeply intertwined with the thoughts of others that the lines between self and others blurred. There was no privacy, no boundaries. And so, the Zelthar had begun to isolate themselves, withdrawing from each other and from the universe. Our minds became our prison, Zarael explained. We thought that cutting ourselves off from one another would make us stronger. But in doing so, we lost the very thing that made us who we are. As Zarael spoke, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of empathy. He could understand the feeling of being disconnected, of losing touch with what made you whole. Earth, too, had its struggles, its divisions. And even though he didn't fully understand the complexity of Zelthar society, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was the key to what was happening. But how does that connect to me? Alex asked, trying to make sense of it all. Why am I the one who can fix this? Zarael turned to face him, his glowing eyes filled with an intensity that Alex couldn't ignore.
The prophecy speaks of a human who will restore balance, who will remind us of the importance of connection. You are the catalyst, Alex.
You have something we've lost, something that we need. You see the world differently. You understand what it means to be an individual, but also part of something bigger. Your ability to connect with others in ways we cannot will help us rebuild our unity. Alex stood in silence, trying to process everything Zarael had said. It felt like too much to take in, like the weight of 1,000 years of history had been placed on his shoulders. But in Zarael's eyes, he saw something that made him hesitate to argue. Hope. It was a hope that Alex couldn't ignore. Do you really believe I can do this? Alex asked, his voice softer now, almost vulnerable. Zarael placed a hand on his shoulder, his touch cool but comforting. I do, he said simply. I believe in you. The prince's words settled into Alex's heart like a quiet promise. But as much as Alex wanted to believe in himself, there was a nagging doubt in the back of his mind. He was just a human. He didn't have the power to change an entire civilization. He didn't have the answers. But Zarael's faith in him was undeniable, and Alex found himself wondering if maybe, just maybe, he was capable of something greater than he had ever imagined. Over the next few days, Zarael continued to teach Alex about the Zelthar people, their customs, and their history. But it wasn't just lectures or lessons. Zarael took him into the heart of the royal palace, showing him places that few outsiders ever saw. They visited the ancient archives, where knowledge from countless generations was stored. Zarael explained the rituals and ceremonies that had once been used to strengthen the bonds between their people. It was in these moments, when they were alone, that Alex began to feel the weight of his responsibility. The more he learned, the more he understood how much the Zelthar needed him. They weren't just a civilization in decline. They were on the verge of losing everything. The prophecy was their last hope, and Alex was the key to unlocking it. But the deeper Alex delved into the history of the Zelthar, the more he realized that there were others who didn't want him to succeed. Not everyone in the royal court believed in the prophecy. In fact, many were openly hostile to the idea of a human playing a role in their society. There were whispers in the halls, rumors of factions within the palace that wanted to see Zarael fail. Some believed that the prophecy was a myth, a story created to placate the masses, while others were determined to stop Alex from fulfilling his role. One evening, after a long day of lessons, Zarael led Alex to a private chamber deep within the palace. The air was thick with tension. Zarel's expression was more serious than Alex had ever seen it. "There are those who do not trust you, Alex," Zarel said, his voice low. "They will try to undermine you, to turn others against you. You must be careful. The path ahead is not an easy one." Alex looked at the prince, feeling the weight of the words. "What should I do?" Zarel's gaze softened. "Stay true to yourself. That is all you can do. Trust in our bond, and trust in the power you hold." "You are the key to our future." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of Zarel's trust settle into his chest. The path ahead was unclear, filled with uncertainty and danger. But for the first time since arriving on Zereth, he felt like he was ready to face it. As he looked out over the city, the soft glow of the alien landscape before him, Alex realized that his journey was far from over. It had only just begun. The days on Zareth were passing faster than Alex had ever expected. What had started as an overwhelming experience, full of questions and confusion, was slowly becoming something else, something more meaningful. He had begun to understand the Zelthar people better, to grasp their struggles and their hopes. And more than that, he had started to feel a connection to them, to Zarel, and to the fate that now seemed to lie in his hands. Zarel had been right. The road ahead was not easy. As Alex learned more about the inner workings of the royal court, he began to see just how deep the divisions ran. The factions that didn't believe in the prophecy, the ones that saw his presence as a threat, were not going to back down easily. They were vocal, and their opposition had already begun to show itself in subtle ways, undermining his confidence, questioning his every move, and trying to sow discord between him and Zarel. But Zarel was unwavering. Despite the opposition, he stood by Alex's side, guiding him through the growing political tension. The prince's calm presence was a constant reminder that Alex wasn't alone in this, even when the challenges seemed insurmountable. "I know this is hard," Zarel said one evening as they walked through the palace's gardens. The air was thick with the scent of flowers that bloomed under the twin suns, casting everything in a soft golden light. "But you must remember, Alex, that this is not just about us. It's about the future of our entire civilization." Alex had been thinking about that very thing. The weight of the responsibility he carried felt heavier each day. The Zelthar needed him, and there was no going back. But there were moments when he wondered if he was the right person for the job. Could a human really help save an entire species? What if he wasn't enough? What if the prophecy was just a story made up to give hope to a dying people? "I don't know if I can do this," Alex admitted quietly, his voice tinged with doubt. "I don't know if I'm the one you need." Zarel stopped walking, turning to face him. His silver eyes, glowing softly in the dimming light, were filled with understanding. "You are exactly who we need, Alex. You have the strength we've lost. You have the ability to see things as they are, without the weight of history clouding your judgment. That is why you were chosen." Alex looked away, not entirely convinced. "But it's not just about seeing things clearly, is it? It's about what I can do, what I can give." Zarel stepped closer, placing a hand on Alex's shoulder. "You've already given us more than you know. The trust you've placed in us, the way you've accepted this role, it is more than we could have hoped for. You've already begun to rebuild the connection we've lost." Alex didn't respond right away. Instead, he looked out at the garden, the vibrant colors of the flowers glowing in the soft light of the setting suns. The stillness of the moment filled him with a quiet sense of peace, but the uncertainty in his heart remained. Over the next few days, the tension in the palace only grew. The factions that opposed Alex's role as the human in the prophecy became more vocal, more aggressive in their actions. They spread rumors, whispered behind closed doors, and worked to turn those who were loyal to Zarel against him. Alex could feel the shift in the air, a tightening of the bonds that held the royal court together. But despite the growing opposition, there were those who still believed in him, those who saw the value in the prophecy and the importance of Alex's presence. They were few, but they were powerful. Zarel's closest advisors, the ones who had stood by his side since his birth, were adamant that the prophecy was real, and that Alex was the key to their future. The day of the Great Assembly finally arrived. It was a day that had been months in the making, the culmination of everything Alex had been preparing for since his arrival on Zareth. The Great Assembly was the Zelthar's highest council, a gathering of the most powerful leaders and advisors from across the galaxy. The purpose of this assembly was to decide the future of the Zelthar people, to determine whether they would embrace the prophecy and work toward unity or continue on their path of division and isolation. Alex had been warned about the tension that would fill the hall. He had been told that this would be the moment that would either make or break their future. The court would be divided. And at the center of it all, Alex would stand as the human chosen by Zarel, the one who held the future of an entire species in his hands. As Alex and Zarel entered the great hall, the murmurs of the assembled dignitaries filled the air. The room was massive, with high ceilings that seemed to stretch into the stars. The walls were lined with ancient symbols, glowing softly with an energy that was older than any of the beings gathered there. The hall was filled with beings from all over the galaxy, their faces a mixture of curiosity, skepticism, and hope. Queen Thalira sat at the center of the council, her regal presence commanding the attention of everyone in the room. She was flanked by her most trusted advisors, including Zarel's closest allies. As they approached the throne, the whispers died down, and all eyes turned to Zarel and Alex. The queen's gaze was steady, her expression unreadable. But Alex could feel the weight of her eyes on him. She was the ruler of this world, and she had much to lose if the prophecy failed.
"I welcome you all to this council," Queen Thalira said, her voice echoing in the vast hall. "Today we stand at a crossroads.
We must decide whether to continue down the path of division or to embrace the future that has been foretold. The prophecy of the human has been spoken of for generations, and today we must decide if we will place our faith in it."
A murmur rippled through the crowd.
Some nodded, their faces filled with hope. Others remained silent, their expressions hard and cold. Zarel stepped forward, his voice firm.
"I believe in the prophecy."
"I believe in Alex. He is the key to our future." The room fell silent. The tension was palpable, and Alex could feel the weight of the moment bearing down on him. This was it. This was the moment that would define everything. A voice broke the silence. One of the opposition leaders, a powerful noble who had long opposed Zarel's rule. "You would place your trust in a human, a creature from a primitive world? How can you expect us to believe that he is the one who will restore the unity we've lost?" The words stung, and Alex felt the eyes of the room turn to him. He could feel the judgment, the doubt. But Zarel stood beside him, unwavering. "Alex has shown us something we have lost," Zarel said, his voice unwavering. "He has shown us the importance of connection, of trust. That is what we need now, more than ever. Not division. Not isolation, but unity." The council hall remained silent for a long moment. The weight of Zarel's words hung in the air like a heavy mist, and then, one by one, the advisors began to speak. "I believe in the prophecy," said one of the elders, his voice steady.
"I believe that Alex is the one who will bring us together." Another advisor spoke up, his voice filled with hope. "The Zelthar are stronger when we are united."
"We must trust in the future that Zarel and Alex have shown us." One by one, the voices of support grew louder, until the entire hall seemed to echo with a single, unified voice. In that moment, Alex realized that the choice had been made. He wasn't alone. He had the support of those who believed in the prophecy, in the future of the Zelthar, and in his role in it all. Queen Thalira stood, her gaze sweeping over the room.
"It is decided," she said, her voice strong and clear. "We will embrace the prophecy.
We will trust in the human who has come to us, and we will unite as one.
The room erupted into applause. It was a moment of triumph, of hope, and of new beginnings.
Alex stood beside Zarel, feeling the weight of the moment settle into his chest. The future of the Zelthar was no longer uncertain. It had been sealed, and Alex had played his part.
As the applause echoed through the hall, Alex turned to Zarel, his heart full.
We did it. Zarl smiled, his eyes filled with pride. No, Alex.
We didn't do it. You did.
And for the first time since his arrival on Zareth, Alex felt like he had found his place in the universe. He had made a difference, and with Zarel by his side, he knew there was nothing they couldn't face together.